Well, hey, Angel fans, welcome back to Halo Territory. I am Mike DiGiovanna, former LA Times baseball writer and host of the show. And if you're watching us on YouTube, you can see we got our first four top. We have four esteemed members of the media and former player Mark Trumbo, my co-host. We have Sam Blum with The Athletic. And our guest today is Jeff Fletcher, who I believe is the only full-time traveling Angels beat writer left. Is that correct, Fletch?
Yeah, it gets lonely.
Well, congratulations, I guess. Well, let's get right into the main topic today, which is the eyebrow-raising quote that Angels owner Arte Moreno gave Fletch and MLB.com on Friday in his somewhat annual State of the Franchise address. Let's go right to this quote. The number one thing fans want is affordability, Moreno said. They want affordability. They want safety, and they want a good experience when they come to the ballpark. Believe it or not, winning is not in their top five. Moreno said the information comes from surveys they've done. Quote, the moms want to be able to afford to bring the kids. Moms make about 80% of the decisions. They want to be able to bring their kids and be affordable, and they want safety, and they want to have a good experience. So they get all the entertainment stuff or whatever. The purists, it's just straight winning. When asked what his top priority is, Moreno said, for me, I've always wanted to win. It's just what is the cost of winning right now? Well, there's a lot to unpack there, guys. Fletch, just first start with you. You were there. Was it just you and the MLB.com reporter? First question.
Well, one of the Angels PR guys was also there.
Oh, of course.
Listening in, but the only two reporters, yes.
Like, what's going through your mind as you're sort of listening to this? Like, were your shoulders starting to shrug a little bit? What was your first immediate reaction?
I definitely gave a little eye roll because I knew that was not the right thing to say. But as the context was that we were talking about the ballpark, and all the stuff leading up to that discussion was about things they're doing in the ballpark, the repainting and the repaving the parking lot and all that kind of stuff. And that's why he was talking about fans that go to the ballpark and what, those kind of people are interested in and what will bring them back to the ballpark. So I think that's, he probably didn't really say that as clearly as he wanted to. And then that's why I asked him about, well, what's your top priority? And which to me, I think was the most important thing that he said was, my top priority is winning, but how much does winning cost? So to me, the headline is that Arte Moreno doesn't think the Angels are worth spending a lot of money on right now, which is because of where the team is and where the TV situation is. To me, that is what people should be talking about, not the fact that maybe he used the word fans instead of customers, in this other quote. But, the way the internet is, it kind of took on a life of its own.
Sam, I understand you had a little reaction to that quote.
Well, I mean, Jeff will be not too surprised to know I don't fully agree with him, but we never fully agree. We sometimes a little agree, sometimes a lot agree, but almost never. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think that quote, people are going to take from that quote. I mean, there's absolutely no surprise for me. I mean, this is one of the more disastrous things I think an owner could possibly say, which is suggest that fans don't prioritize winning. And I think you're seeing that not just in his words, but also in the actions of the entire operation. I mean, there's kind of nothing that I see when it comes to the Angels that's like, okay, this team is really putting in the resources and effort and, making it a priority to win for their fans. It doesn't appear to me that that's what they're doing. So this is a ridiculous thing to say. And I think and the fans are taking it as they should, which is they're insulted by it. Ultimately I agree with Fletch, which is probably the most significant element of what he's saying is that he doesn't really view it as, worth the cost to put a good team on the field. But what I would also say is the reason why it's probably not worth the cost right now is because he's just run the thing into the ground at this point. I mean, this team is bad because of the decisions that he's made for over 20 years now. And really, just talking with Bruce Meyer this year and then Tony Clark last year, I think one of the gripes that the union has, which I think is fair, which is that the Angels really treat their treat the CBT threshold as a salary cap, and even more recently, I mean, they're like almost $100 million below the tax at this point. I mean, they're basically operating like a very small market team. This is Los Angeles, supposedly. So I just think that there are a lot of issues here, and it's good he said the quiet part out loud at the very least.
Mark, as a former player, how do you think this was received in the clubhouse? Like, say you're the cleanup batter on the Angels right now. You're reading this quote. What are you thinking?
It's an awkward time to be a fan, a player, a manager, Kurt Suzuki. I know he's incredibly optimistic about just about everything, but I do wonder, you can't ignore those comments. So it's, I guess you have to just accept them and say that that's the business side of things. And as a player, you're going to put your head down and play hard, because whether or not you get paid by this team, or maybe they can't afford you. I don't know if he mentioned some numbers too, that 15 million was mentioned as maybe too expensive. I don't know if that applies to everyone, but maybe a guy like Zach Neto, it's not the news you really want to hear. It seems like the financial situation is bleak until a TV deal comes through, which I don't know when that will be, but maybe they have some idea. But if pro sports is not about winning, what is it? I mean, this is the top level. You're there to win. That's all I know from when I was coming up. I've talked about it before. Some, people like to say it's more about a process, but I firmly believe it's about winning. I think the Angel fans want to see a winning ball club. There are other teams that operate on limited payroll that win. The Brewers, the Athletics, many others, the Guardians. We can go on and on, the Rays. So if we're a smaller market team now, for whatever reason, we need to find a way to, and I say they win more games, and cited mental mistakes as why last year did not go better. Mike, what do you think about mental mistakes? Do you agree with that?
Well, certainly the Angels had their fill of them, but when I look at the second half collapse, I don't think mental mistakes were as big of an issue as, the incredibly thin rotation, the bullpen injuries, the strikeouts that were just off the charts. I mean, I don't know, Sam. Can you and Fletch? Can you remember like even a single game, maybe a handful of games that were decided by mental mistakes?
Sure. I mean, mental mistakes are, I agree with the first part of what you said, which is like, this team isn't good enough. I mean, they don't have a good enough team right now. And to Mark's point, right? Like, there are teams that are, when you're operating in a small market, you make certain decisions that I think are painful at times, but they are in the business of, trying to put a winning product on the field. And I think the Angels are always just trying to sell a winning product rather than actually do it. And, now I think what we're seeing, and what you kind of see in these comments from Artie, which is this kind of having to acknowledge that they're not really even trying to put a winning product on the field at this point. I mean, they're just kind of where they are. And I think if you're a player, and that is, I think, kind of where things are with this team, at least, based on the comments from Meyer. I mean, there's it's awkward, right? Like, it's just weird. It's like, if you're a player and you kind of hear your owner maybe flimsily say, like, this isn't really that important to us, then I don't know what that really says to you as as someone like Mike Trout, who's put his whole career into this team. I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a really hard thing to process as a fan, as a player, and especially, like you said, Kurt Suzuki, who's on this 1-year deal, who's probably just like, okay, well, great. This should be a fun season, and maybe just one of them.
All right, we're going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors, and then we'll hear from Fletch. We'll be right back with more Halo territory.
Trisha, I'm here at spring training where the games have started. The weather is beautiful, and soon enough, I'll be at the WBC with a stacked Team USA. Scooble, Skeens, Judge, Raleigh, Bobby Witt Jr. Where else would you rather get seats than on SeatGeek, the #1 rated ticketing app with over 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek? It's not just baseball. There's the NBA, concerts, festivals, and the World Cup are now on there as well, which would be great to be at.
And SeatGeek has your back. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know that you're getting a good deal. So look for the green dots. Green means good and red means bad. Plus, every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee. And of course, I have a code for you guys. You can use code Territory10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code Territory10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so that you can use it later.
All right, welcome back to Halo Territory. Fletch, do you want to add something on the subject of mental mistakes?
Oh, I mean, no, obviously they made lots of mental mistakes, and they obviously had a lot of deficiencies otherwise. I don't think you should read too much into like his assessment of what happened in each game. I think the big issue is, I think Artie cares about two things. They're 1 and 1A, and they're winning and they're not losing money. And I think he'd be willing to lose money if he could win, but I don't think he's willing to lose money and lose. And so far, when he's tried to spend money, look at what's happened the last few times he spent a lot of money. Mike Trout has, not played. Anthony Rendon has been bad. Even like a little thing like Tyler Anderson, didn't really work out. So all Artie thinks, all he's seeing is that, look, when I spend extra money, we're still no good. So I think what he wants to see, hey, hang on. Yeah. I think what he wants to the young guys play better and give them more of a core. So he spends the $20 million to go from 84 wins to 90 wins rather than going from 74 wins to 80 wins, because he's just not interested in spending extra money to go from 74 wins to 80 wins.
Sam?
No, listen, I think like in a vacuum, that's all true, right? Like, you see a lot of your investments go poorly and that leads you to not want to make investments. But I mean, to me, the reason they've lost it's obviously in part because some of these big name players that they've signed are, have not panned out. I mean, you can also make some cases that they've made bad bets. They made the wrong choices in terms of who they signed. But I mean, ultimately, I think that the reason that they've lost is poor management, top to bottom. I mean, it's, there's a lot of things that go into winning besides just making bets on free agent players. And I think the Angels right now, if they didn't make any bets on any big free agents this offseason, that would be okay if they were also doing some other things that they're just not doing. I mean, you look at those last like 4 trade deadlines where they've really not been in a position to make the playoffs. And I mean, I just can't really think of any like primetime talent they've acquired outside of the Carlos Estevez trade. So, I mean, these are the times when you build up a franchise if you're not willing to spend. And he's clearly kind of indicating he's not willing to spend. And so, all right, so then go the other direction. Do the things that those teams are doing.
Fletch, was there any indication from Artie when the survey was conducted, who it was sent to? Where can we get our hands on the results?
I mean, just, my impression is it's just something that they when people buy tickets, they get the survey. I mean, first of all, like I mentioned before, the word customers, a lot of people have heard me use that. There's fans and there's customers, and there's a lot of people who are both, but there's also a lot of people who are one or the other. And to suggest that the Angels don't have a huge amount of people who are customers who pay no attention to what is going on is just not paying attention to what happens. When you go there in August, 30,000 people having a party and throwing the beach balls around because they like the fireworks. I mean, those are real people that we ignore because they're not listening to this podcast. They're not following me on Twitter. They're not following Sam on Twitter. They have no idea this conversation is even happening, but they put money in Artie's pocket. So to say that they're not real is ridiculous.
Now, Sam, you did a survey asking the Angel fans, if they had received any surveys. Does anybody have a copy of this? Did you get much response on that?
Yeah, I got some emails of like old, like there was maybe a survey done in like 2023 or something like that. But nobody had like the actual survey, and nobody could recall being asked a question that would involve, their priorities when it relates to winning and things like that. And I also asked the Angels if they could provide the survey or even just like indicate what the survey was or maybe what the question was that would have led them to believe because I wasn't there. But it sounds like he said that they are citing a survey on this. So, I mean, if there's this survey that's supposedly telling you that people don't care about winning and that is how you're basing your strategic operations for your franchise, I think it's a very fair question to want to know what this survey is. And I have yet to see evidence that it exists, but I'm not going to say it doesn't. I just haven't seen any evidence that it does.
You also did a follow-up survey on Monday. Since I'm curious, Angels fans, what's more important to you, ballpark affordability or the Angels winning games?
Yeah, I mean,
And
and on this one, like I would just say that to Fletcher's point, right? Like there's probably a large subsection of people that are not following us on Twitter and not engaging, and maybe aren't going to, maybe would have their net percentage might be higher on the ballpark affordability one. I just don't think that there's any credible, you're gonna find any credible survey where fans are gonna tell you they just don't
Let
care
me
about winning. It's not
let me
any.
let me tell you this little metric that I use. I've got like 65,000 Twitter followers. Sam, you got like what 35,000 or something like that. The Angels
You just
official Twitter.
did that.
Mark, you
No,
want to
but the
you
Angels
want to big
official
time them a
Twitter
little
has
bit?
1.2 million. Listen, they have 1.2 million. What are those other million people that don't care about what I'm tweeting? They don't care about what Sam's tweeting. They don't care who's going to play second base. They don't care how Robert Stevenson's shoulder is doing. They want to know when there's fireworks and who the bobblehead is going to be. There's a million people that are paying no attention to any of us right now. Those are real people.
Yeah.
We can all make fun of them and say they shouldn't count, but they do count to Artie. So
I mean, I guess, but
I'm sorry,
you
but
can
that's
still try
real.
to. Yeah. Yeah, I just think that if you're talking about your fans, the people that have, it's been, 11 or maybe they're going into 12 years without making the playoffs. It's like I think it's the longest in North American sports outside of maybe like the Buffalo Sabres or something like that. Like this is just getting to a point where it's ridiculous. Like nobody goes this long being this bad, especially in this market. I mean, so at some point, you come out with this. Like I get it. Everything in a vacuum could be you can make the case one way or the other for what he means, what he's trying to say, this and that. But at some point, you are running this entire operation into the ground. It's so clear as day. This team is projected to win like 60 something games, and I think that is optimistic at this point. So this is just a bad product, and it's getting worse, and it's getting less organized, and there's getting less optimistic for the future. This is not a rebuild, right? I think that is what you'll hear the Angels try to sell this season as over and over again when things start to get bad. I'm certain of it. I've seen it. I know it'll happen again. But I want to tell you this right now: if they do in fact lose and they are not pulling off a miracle this year, this is not a rebuild. It's a bad team without a future right now, and I think that's what people are upset about, and that's what's driving fans right now to believe what they have.
Fletch, was there any reaction from the Angels clubhouse, maybe from Mike Trout, about some of these comments?
No, because honestly, I knew what Artie was talking about, so I didn't ask the players the question that Sam was asking because that's a different meaning than what he was talking about. Now, there are a lot of other legitimate things that Artie does. I talked to players about how the fact that their payroll is way down because of the TV deal. I mean, that's like a real thing that's actually happening. That's something that they talk about in the clubhouse. This is not.
I don't know. Bruce Meyer said it was.
Yeah, we were just going to ask you about that, Sam. You got a hold of Bruce Meyer on Sunday, and that was the day Bruce Meyer, the new union boss, met with the Angels on Sunday morning, I believe. Sam, what came out of that?
I mean, it's just he said that players have taken notice of this, and I mean, I don't know which player. I mean, obviously there are a lot of players in that clubhouse that are probably getting opportunities on this team that they wouldn't get if it was a better product. That's no insult to any. There's like a lot of young players that maybe are getting opportunities in the big leagues. Otherwise, they wouldn't otherwise be getting right now. It's listen. I mean, I think his point, which is a fair point, is the Angels are one of their bigger market teams, one of MLB's bigger market teams. The union's obviously coming in with their own agenda of trying to prevent a salary cap and things like that. And the Angels, I think, are very, very fruitful case study for the union to try and make their point, because this is a big market team that's just not really spending, and this highlights, I think, a lot of the issues at play here. The Angels highlight a lot of the issues that MLBPA kind of sees, so that's why they want to talk about it. But ultimately, like he said, players are concerned about this, that it came up as part of their discussion. They go to every camp every spring they went to. And Bruce Meyer said the players were talking about it, so this is an area of concern. So I don't know. Fletch is in spring training right now, and I'm not, so I don't want to discount that. But yeah, I mean, that he literally walked out of that meeting and said that
I mean, I
was
think the
a major
payroll
topic of conversation.
situation.
So
All right, we're going to take another quick break for a word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with more Halo territory.
Hey, sometimes we do a little game on Foul Territory called Role Play. It's not what you think. We're just picking up our phones and we're talking as if we're somebody in baseball. But if you'd like that phone to be a little bit cheaper for making phone calls, who should you call, Kratz?
Mint Mobile, because you get all the same speed with a tiny little price.
Same coverage, tiny price. Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Save money. Get after it, FT fam.
Oh, welcome back to Halo territory. Glad you could all join us. Kevin Pillar, former Major League outfielder who spent a pretty good chunk of his 2024 season with the Angels, had some pretty strong comments in reaction to Artie's quote. Let's hear from Kevin Pillar.
Me, winning is all fans should really do care about, and that's a non-negotiable, much like going to the field and feeling safe and affordability. I mean, maybe the list should have been like giveaways and concessions and things like that, because I have no idea what he's talking about. I mean, the Angels don't, I don't think Arte Moreno realizes how great of an asset he has. You know, I got a chance to play there, and it is arguably one of the best places to play in baseball. Southern California, the Orange County, the weather's beautiful. The fans are very passionate. I mean, he doesn't realize what he has, because if he really cared about winning, it would be such a destination for players to want to come and play. It's just a matter of time. He just needs to get rid of the team, because he really doesn't really care about, the Angels. And obviously franchise values are going way up right now. And I think there was a quote he came out with the other day that said he wasn't actively shopping, but I think there's a lot of people interested in buying. So hopefully someone just kind of blows him away with an offer here soon, and we could kind of move past this story.
Now, Mark, considering Kevin Pillar was on Artie's payroll just 2 years ago, does his comments, his reaction carry a little more weight?
I think it does. He played, he put the uniform on, and now he's in the position that we are talking about this topic. He said the things that I think most people would take away from that. I know a tremendous amount of people, even in our mailbag episode, were asking about the sale of the team. But you also read the fact that Artie loves being an owner. Said that in, I think, Jeff's article, in the Angels article. He loves being the owner of this baseball team. So when I hear that, I'm not seeing someone who probably, he is 80 or coming up on 80. So I don't know. I know his kids apparently want nothing to do with the team. So that makes most sense. Across the 57 freeway, the Ducks are doing huge things. You can't not see that parking structure. They seem to be pumping a lot of money into their product. And so there are train tracks. This might be the other side of the tracks situation. When I see affordability, does that mean cheap? What does that mean? 4 for $44? Where are those seats? Upper deck beyond the foul pole? That's what I think. I think in 2026, cheap is not good. That's not good. I know they put some money into the parking lot. That's good. The Diamond Club seats and some other things. I don't know about the ballpark food, but I do know as a fan, you go to Petco Park, much different experience. And for those million Twitter followers that Jeff alluded to, I don't know what they want. If they want cheap, maybe go watch the Quakes. But it's major leagues. I'd like to see a little bit of everything improve for the Angels. I know he mentioned a rebrand too. Maybe that includes some access to the players for the people, the two credentialed media people that aren't given the access. because it's slim pickings on our end. And I think that would be nice. A rebrand, we could, our show, many other places could be a good vehicle for these, some opinions that I know Zach Neto wasn't thrilled with the predictions. I believe in your article today, he said that, but that's what a player should say, that, ignore the noise and get to work. I did like his other comments by and large on his plan this year. And so it's, I don't know, cheap, I guess, to echo my point. If you're literally looking for cheap, there's one way to do that. But in this day and age, I think you got to have a better product than just cheap.
Question for any or all of you. When Artie says, what is the cost of winning right now? Does that sort of undermine his claim that winning is a top priority?
I mean, it's what I said earlier,
Yeah.
is that he wants to win, want to lose money. And I think that he doesn't feel like right now losing money is going to equate to winning. He feels like losing money is just going to be losing more money, and they're still going to lose because he's looking at, Rendon, Trout, all these. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe, if you or I owned the team and we were 79 years old, we would just say, whatever, I don't care. I'll lose $100 million. We'll be good. And I'll still be a billionaire. But that's not the way he looks at it, and I can't say that's right or wrong. I'm not in his shoes, but I think that that's the way he looks at it.
Sam, go ahead.
I just look at that and I'm like, just like that meme of like, oh, we're all trying to figure out who did this, He did it. It's his fault that they're this bad. So maybe he doesn't want to lose any more money, but then Kevin Pillar's got a good point here, which is, okay, then just leave, right? Like, why are we doing this here? Because this fan base deserves a lot better than what they're getting. So I'm not really worried about already making or losing money if I'm a fan. I'm not worried about it as a reporter, and I don't think players or the coaches or anybody's worried about it except for Artie. And if he's made, I mean, what did he buy this team for? Like 180 million, and it's worth probably north of 3 billion now or close to that. Yeah. So I'm not really worried about him losing money. He's fine, and I mean, for this franchise to be doing this, it's just, I understand the TV deal it's probably costing them something. It's probably costing them a lot of money, I'm sure, and this is a business, and you're as a business, you're trying to make money. That's all fair. That's all well and all good, but he's fault that they're this bad. And if he's not interested in making the sacrifices necessary to put a winning product on the field, then get out. At this point, I'm not calling him to do that. I don't think it's my place, but I mean, if you're not going to, then sure, I'll say that. If you're not going to do your job and put a winning product on the field, then I don't think it's fair for anybody, because there's a lot of fans here who are sick of hearing about 2002. I think it's a great time. There's a lot of really special people that were a part of that, but it's also been 24 years, and I think it's time that there's another thing to celebrate around there.
Well, that leads right into my last question, and we'll close the show with this. As we all know, Artie put the team up for sale in August of 2022, only to pull it off the market the following January. He said on Friday that, quote, he's not shopping the team, but there's just a lot of people wanting to buy a baseball team right now. Reading between the lines, does anyone think Artie is just sort of willing to sell right now if the right offer comes along? I'm not sure what that offer is. Maybe it is north of $3 billion. If someone makes him an offer that blows him away, do we think he could just sell? I mean, because he doesn't have, as we mentioned on the show before, his kids are not, there's no succession plan. He's going to be 80 years old this year. If he leaves the team, in some kind of trust, that's going to be, somebody's going to have to sell it, and it's going to be a big problem and a big hassle to do that.
Well, there's two things coming up. There's a new CBA, and if they do get a salary cap, which I doubt, but if they do get whatever concessions they get, could make the value even more. So I think he's waiting on that. And the other thing is there's expansion coming up, and when they have expansion in 28 or whatever, everybody that owns one of the current teams is going to get a huge check. So I'm sure that he wants to wait for those two things to happen. And at that point, I think that he's probably a lot more likely to sell.
Mark, any thoughts?
I'd probably agree with that. I mean, there's right now, I mean, I think Angels fans' dream would be that he'd sell, but I mean, I agree with Fletch in terms of the pragmatism of waiting to kind of see some of these things play out. Makes sense to me, and I think that would probably be the timeline. And I do think that him bringing up that second half of that quote, where he does say that there is a lot of interest in it, is his probably way of letting people know, okay, like this is. Don't worry, someday I'll give this up.
Mark, final thoughts at all?
Where are the TV games for spring training?
Fletch, you got anything on that?
Well, see, that's a situation where basically they could have just punted like the other teams did and had MLB produce and do the whole thing, and they would have had games on, but they would have lost a lot more money. So that's a case where it just comes down to the bottom line, and Artie doesn't want to lose any more money, so that's why they're trying to do what they're trying to do.
And any thoughts on the regular season? Is it prediction, Fletch? They're going to be MLB.com. They're going to start their own network. What are you looking at?
I think they're just going to end up. MLB is going to end up producing the games, probably. I don't know. They're still working on it. Ask me another week or two. But the game's definitely going to be on, and they're going to be on. Probably people that could watch them before will still be able to watch them. It's a matter of who's going to produce them and how much money the Angels are going to get out of it. But from the fans' perspective, it's going to be available just the same as it was before.
I'm sure MLB loves that they get to wait till the very last minute to see if the Angels want to have them produce their games for them. And, and again, like as Fletch just laid out, it's like, this is a couple extra bucks essentially that he's sacrificing, and as a result, now fans can't watch the spring training games. Now, I would never watch a spring training game that I didn't have to in a million years, but I think that baseball fans tend to like it, so it sticks. And but they'll be on when the bell rings. I'm sure. At least I think I'm sure.
All right, that's going to do it for today's Halo Territory. Thank you, Jeff Fletcher of the Orange County Register, Sam Blum of the Athletic, and Mark Trumbo, former Angel slugger. Thanks for joining us today. Please like and subscribe, and we'll be back next time on Halo Territory.